Is it rolling, Bob? YouTube. Happy Friday. Don't want to promise any traditions, but it's kind of fun to try to make a Friday video. Smoking one of my common man pipes. It's Canadian, I guess you'd call it. Another eBay special. Really nice pipe. And in it, back to my Stockabees Balkan Supreme. It's aged 03. Not 1993 or 2003 or even anything like that. It's 03 as in 03/20, March. Right now, that's the oldest tobacco I have. I finished making a cabinet where I've got all my pint-sized squat little mason jars. My small collection of tobaccos. But I just wanted to talk briefly tonight about the kind of fun things that tobacco pipe smoking can lead to. I was trying to remember the first time I ever smoked a pipe. And what I came up with was at that time, freshman year of college. So we're talking about August, September 1972. That had to be, that first semester had to be the best 4 or 5 months of my life. My young life anyway. Things are pretty good right now. That was a particularly fun and exciting time, being away from home for the first time for an extended period. On my own. Meeting new people. You know, not without its challenges and frustrations, but by and large, once I got settled in, I was having a great time, making a lot of friends, meeting my future wife. But one of the guys I met very early on lived in my dorm, and he was, this was in Syracuse, New York. He was kind of a local. He lived, I don't know, 20 miles away in a little town out in the boonies. And we were living in a cool place. It was on the Syracuse campus. But as I said before about my high school, same deal in college. We had the baby boom, and the college was over-enrolled, and they suddenly had to find places to put all these kids before attrition, quitting, and whatever happened. and eventually the numbers dropped down sufficiently to get everybody in a regular dorm. But the dorm that we got stuck in was an old building, probably from the early 1900s. That had been essentially decommissioned or abandoned or whatever. But because they had all these kids, all of a sudden they had to put them somewhere, so they put us in there. And I suspect that people that they put in there, the kids they put in there, were kind of misfits. This is a private, interesting situation. I went to a state school, State University of New York, on the same campus, adjacent campus to a big private college, university. And of course, all the private university kids paid a whole lot of money in tuition, so they probably wanted to take care of them. So they put them in the nice newer dorms first, and put the rest of us in these makeshift places. But that was entirely fine with me. I thought it was a really cool old building, had a lot of character, and a lot more interesting than the quasi-modern dorms they had at the time. But anyway, I met this guy Jim, and he showed me around some of the sights of downtown Syracuse, and we hitchhiked around and just palled around a bit. But sadly, as often happens, friends one day, and then over time people drift away, go off on their own way, find their own new friends, new activities, new responsibilities, and you lose touch. But every once in a while something would spark a memory, and I would think about those days, and I would try to find Jim, and he has a very, very sketchy online presence. I joked with him that he might be in a witness protection program. But I did have a phone number that I got from our alumni association. And I called that number once or twice over the years, and he never called me back. Not a good sign, I guess. But I had no idea if I even had the right number. I'd leave a message, but never get a response. But this time, I started thinking about, as I said, the first time I ever smoked a pipe. My maternal grandfather smoked, as I recall, but we didn't have a really strong relationship. He was a foreigner, and his English was very limited, and he was a whole lot older than I was. As grandfathers go, I mean. But I remember he had old pipes kicking around that he would smoke. Talking too much. Really enjoying the smoke, though. And I remember my father briefly tried pipe smoking, but it never stuck with him. I'm of the opinion that pipe smoking requires a certain amount of patience and a little bit of sophistication. And while my father had a lot of qualities, patience and sophistication were not among them. So that had nothing to do with my early pipe smoking. But Jim and I lived in his old dorm building, and as many of the students, especially the ones paying the full freight, got moved out over as other rooms became available, there was fewer and fewer of us in this big old building, Washington Arms. So we had these big collections of these suites that had, I guess, 3 bedrooms around a central living room sort of thing. And Jim and I would hold little dinner parties. We would invite a couple of girls, and maybe another guy, I don't recall. I think there might have been some cheap wine and candlelight perhaps. And we didn't have much taste and even less money, so we probably had mac and cheese for dinner. Something cooked on a hot plate. But at one of these occasions, Jim pulled out a corncob pipe. Got to understand, we were 18 years old. He had a corncob pipe, and I could be wrong, but every time I see a half and half package, that red and green label, it tickles some kind of memory. So I'm thinking maybe it was half and half. One of these days I'm going to buy a corncob pipe and a pouch of half and half and give it a try. I suspect I won't like it much. And I don't have any real memory of what it was like smoking that pipe. But at that young age, in that time and place, it seemed like kind of a cool thing to be trying. Yes, you experiment a lot when you're 18 years old and away from home for the first time. But anyway, Jim finally called me back this time because of my pipe smoking memories. We had a nice chat. He's hundreds of miles away, nowhere near me. I haven't spoken with the guy or had any contact with him in 45 years. But it was good catching up, finding out what he's been doing, his ups and downs, a little bit of my ups and downs. At our age, there's the inevitable organ recital. We talk about surgeries and stuff. But it's just one more example of the kind of things that pipe smoking can bring to a life. And it's fun looking for old friends. Out of the blue, you get a call. It's only happened to me a couple of times, but it's really a lot of fun when somebody that you haven't heard from in decades, half a century perhaps, well, drops you a note, an email, or a phone call. You get to talk about the good old days. And that's what pipe smoking did for me this week. And I'm grateful. And with that, I'm going to go finish my bowl of Balkan Supreme and hope everybody has a good evening, a good weekend, and a good week ahead. Take care.